Hello, and happy Wednesday. Welcome to another episode of They Say. I am so excited. We are live today. So definitely get in the chat, ask us questions, engage with us. We want to put your questions up. My name is Allison McFarland, founder and CEO of Allison McFarland Inc., also known as AMI, and I am so honored to have this legend guru, somebody I love and admire. I have admired her since my days in San Diego. She is the GOAT. There is no one I can think of when it comes to celebrity talent and booking that can compete with her. So I am excited to have Queenie Donaldson on They Say. So big sis, thank you for saying yes as always. I appreciate you. I admire you. I love you for your coachings and just making me better. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's my honor to be here. I'm so happy we made it happen.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm so super excited about this opportunity. Let's get into it.
Yes, let's get into it. So, as you guys know, I'm your personal branding expert, all things branding and marketing. That is my jam. So, this conversation is going to be very intentional because I feel like we're seeing so many different things in this world today with influencers and celebrities and so many different things. So, she's here to demystify a lot of these myths and what it takes to be on an A-list level and just the different levels. But I really want you to share your story because it's so powerful. So tell us about your background.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started out my degrees in psychology. I thought I was going to be a forensic psychologist. That's what I've always wanted to be. Um, and I've always been around the entertainment industry on the 90s, just out in the club streets and everything else with people who are always around the entertainment. And so in I'll say like late 90s, I got an opportunity to intern for free with Ruben Cannon. He is one of the top icon casting and producers in the game. He casted Oprah Winfrey in Color Purple, the original Color Purple.
Wow.
And so at the time, I was a teacher. I taught kindergarten through fourth grade, special ed kids. And so he needed a casting intern. And I was like, I'll try it. So I used to go right after, you get off of work at 3 o'clock, and I'll go to the casting office. And I had the pleasure of being on the casting team for the movie The Brothers with Morris Chestnut, Gabrielle Union, Shamar Moore, and Tamala Jones. It was super fun. We also was able to cast the Girlfriends, the show Girlfriends, which was hilarious to be in. And actually worked under Ruben, and I learned a lot for a year. And then I'll say summer 2000, he called me in his office and he was like, I was planning to go to Pepperdine for graduate school. And he was like, you should work in Hollywood full time. You're good with these crazy celebrities. And I was like, doing what? He was like, well, go talk to my friend at BET at the time. The BET office was in Burbank, California. I went and I met with Sheila Frazier, Yolanda Starks, White, and they hired me on the spot. And it was amazing. I started BET August 2000. We launched 106 in Park that year. We launched BET Live with John Sally. We had Teen Summit.
Yes.
A lot of the shows were filmed on the West Coast while they were building the new studio for 106 in Park. So I started as a talent coordinator. So I learned all the ropes and how to fill out paperwork. Back then it was like fax machines, paperwork, and all that other stuff. It wasn't, the technology we have today. And then I got promoted to talent executive, and that's when my role became bigger. And that's when I really was able to start building my booking skills. I learned from Yolanda Starks, who was my mentor to this day. She's the director of talent. So that's how I learned how to build and start my talent booking career from there.
I love it. I love it. And what I love is you were involved in so many iconic, like culture shifting, like that. I have to applaud you because 106 in Park, Teen Summit, those were things that changed the culture. That wasn't just like stuff we watched on TV. Those are things that really propelled, I think, Black culture really in that like early 90s, millennial type years. Like those are really important. Like we would come home after school and watch those things. And Teen Summit used to have some really dynamic, very intentional conversations that
Yeah.
remember when they were talked about like HIV AIDS. I remember when like conversations that we were not having, they were having those quote unquote controversial conversations. So
Yes.
those, you were a part of so many pivotal things. So as you think about that, right, your legacy, you have such a powerful legacy, and we didn't even scratch the surface. What do you think? How do you think 106 has really 106 in Park has really transcended culture? Like how, what is your ideals and thoughts on that?
I mean, me just first of all, I'm just honored to have even been part of the inception, just with Free and AJ, and I mean all the breaking videos that broke on 106 in Park, all the hot interviews, the performances, the DJ. Remember the DJ battle? That's kind of where it kicked off as well. I mean, it was an honor to be part of that. And mind you, that was my first network job, so I was learning on site. All hands on deck. So at the time, BET was just explosive. In
Wow.
2000, and Mr. Johnson still owned BET.
Yep.
So I just had a phenomenal team. It was, we had a great talent team, talent department on the West Coast and East Coast. And it was just a beautiful experience. Like I learned so much. And even though I was working 60, 70 hours a week, it didn't even feel like that because it was just the adrenaline. Like I was just excited just to learn and see and be taught. And that's one thing I really cherish those moments, because that's why I learned about working together as a team. There was no egos. There were no backstabbing. It was correction. It was like we were really family, and everyone had played their part, and those who came before me really looked out and taught me the game. And I'm always indebted, to my BET talent family for teaching me the ropes. I wouldn't be here today, 24 years later, as a talent booker without that foundation. So I'm very grateful for Reuben Cannon and Yolanda and Sheila and the entire BET talent family.
I love that. So talk to us more about a talent booker and kind of give us more timeline about how you like your career progressed, because I feel like it progressed pretty quickly. I remember hearing about you when I was at Northridge in the early 2000s.
Yeah. So just to give you some context, so I started at BET as a talent coordinator. So at that time in 2000, I wasn't necessarily booking the talent. The talent bookers, which is talent producer, talent executive, that's the network and studio terms. It's all the same thing. But the talent coordinator typically will work directly with the talent producer, talent executive. They will book, the talent, then they'll pass it off to the talent team, talent coordinator team, which was me. And then at the time, we were doing all the paperwork. It was like AFTRA, union paper, ID, I-9s, all of that stuff. And then we will handle all the logistics for their appearances on the show. Okay. But I did that for about 6 weeks, and then I was promoted to talent executive. And that's, how I learned how to book talent, how to, negotiate, how to, really build and get those bookings going and a fast pace. Because mind you, it was like 10 to 12 shows happening at the same time.
Yeah.
So I want to say at that time we had about 5 to 6 talent a talent team on the West Coast. And plus we worked hand in hand with our East Coast team too, because we were booking both coasts on different shows.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So you did BET. Where did you go after BET? Like what was next for you?
So I was on and off in between hiatuses. Hiatus mean when the shows are dark. And so that's when I got introduced to the freelance world. So in between the hiatus at BET, I would go to the Radio Music Awards and the Billboard Awards, which were hosted at that time in Vegas.
Yeah.
And that's when I was able to get my diverse background. What I mean by that, the Kelly Clarksons, the Carrie Underwood. So I learned the pop, the rock, the country. Those are the type of shows. So I was able to work in the talent department and really learn how the award show on all different levels worked.
Wow.
I was on and off at BT up until about 2016, but I also worked at Showtime Network under Jimmy Iovine and Paul Rosenberg. We did a reality show, which reality TV wasn't really known in 2003,
Yeah.
but we did a reality show there. That was amazing. I also worked at VH1. I did some projects at VH1, Paramount Studios, worked different places. It was amazing. I really enjoyed freelance, and I always encourage that because you get different experiences, different perspective, different backgrounds. You work with different groups of people, and you see, and you learn different techniques. But the blessing is each studio award show production, I always learn something new. I always learn a different technique. But my foundation has always been with BET because under Yolanda Starks White, she taught me how to communicate, how to follow up, how to be proactive, how to be kind, and just treat people with respect. And even when they tell you no, or they're not able to do it, or they pass, like, if they tell you to follow up, like I really have to give her her flowers because she really set the tone and the foundation. And I watched her, as she she was the director of talent at BET Network. And I just, without her, I wouldn't be, here today. So I'm very grateful for her leadership, for her mentorship for the past 2 decades.
Wow, that's powerful. And I think that really speaks to relationships and the importance of them. So talk a little bit about that, because you've been able to pivot and you've done some freelancing, then you went back to the network, then you just really opened up your horizons and expanded it. So tell us more about the importance of relationships to being able to do that.
Well, it wasn't always peaches and cream. I could definitely tell you that. Yolanda encouraged me to start my business in 2004. Mind you, I was very green, even though I was 4 years in. Running a business was not my, on my bucket list, but she encouraged me because, all the times when I was working at the studios, I was also part of the nighttime streets. I call it the club streets, working with the hottest promoters who had like, the big celebrity parties and stuff like that. So, hey, I'm at BET. You get Mariah Carey or Ludacris, and they were like, where's the party? I'm like, hey, we're doing this party at the Good Bar. So it actually really flowed and just building those relationships. I've always been a people person. Like I can get along with all types of characters, personalities. I just always was taught by my grandparents and great grandparents just to treat people with kindness, treat people like you want to be treated. And I never, thought I was better than anyone because of my position or title. I was just always a team player because that's what I saw. That's what I was taught. And regardless of what production, studio, wherever I was, I just always kept that groundness, just really that team spirit. Like, hey, how can I help you? It just served me. I always check in with people. I'm not always reaching out, asking for stuff. That's one thing that I even encourage people to this day. Don't reach out to people when you need something. Just check in. How you doing? How's your family?
Right.
I learned that very early on, and people remember that. You will be surprised at who's watching you. I've gotten many opportunities for people who I may had a very minimal interaction with, and I've gotten jobs. I've gotten big contracts just by people who I may not even interact with. They just saw me work.
Yep.
And I don't take that for granted. It's not a facade. It's not, that's truly who I am. And it was very hard, going through, it's a lot of changes in the industry with a lot of merges, a lot of different ownership. So you have to navigate, and it's not always who knows, who it's who knows you as well.
I think that's powerful. And I want to dig in deeper on that who knows you. Because oftentimes when we network, when we get outside of our comfort zone and get to know other people, we often think that it's all about who we know. But I really am a huge proponent about who is speaking your name in rooms you aren't in yet, or
Yes.
who is sponsoring you to let people know you even exist. So
Yeah.
you have done a phenomenal job with that. So I really want you to speak to that of people speaking your names in rooms you aren't in yet.
One thing that I learned early on is I always offer, how can I be assistance? How can I help you? When early on at BET, during the BET Awards, people need credentials, and it can be a chaotic. I'm like, hey, I'm a fixer. I'm a solution person, and I've always been proactive.
Yes.
And even in my communication, email, like, hey, there has been opportunities where they just fell in my lap. And I send thank you notes. Everybody who I booked, I always send thank you. I believe in just send a note, or send like a little card or a gift card. Just let people know you appreciate them, because at the end of the day, no one owes you anything. No one, just because I'm a talent this, or no one knows me, they don't owe me anything. They don't have to let me book their talent.
Right.
It's all about presentation and how, you interact with people, and they can tell if you're genuine or not as well. And even in between, like even on my downtime, I'm always checking in. Hey, just checking in, see how you're doing. How's your family? People remember that. I mean, I remember I've had many reps, because it's all about building relationships with, the managers, the publicists, the label reps at the time. And they was like, man, you looked out. And I'm like, when? They were like 10 years ago. You remember? Because I'm not sitting around counting like, oh, remember I did this for you.
Yeah.
A lot of times people do that transaction stuff. I don't do that. Like, if I can help you, I'm going to help you. It's not about me. It's not about me kissing anybody's butt. If I'm in a position to help. That's it. It's really that simple.
That's powerful. And I think that speaks to your character. So let's transition a little bit, and let's talk about this new age of influencers and talent booking. So me and you talked a little bit before we got on, but let's really like break some myths here between influencers, celebrities, and what that looks like and what is needed. Because I think a lot of people believe that your follower count matters more than your celebrity count. So tell us about that.
Yeah, it's been very interesting, with the new social media worlds of influencers and stuff like that. And me as a celebrity booker, I don't hate on anybody. If you are an influencer, a YouTuber, TikToker, congratulations. That's not my superpower, and that's not my focal part. I tell people I'm old school, new school. Me as a woman of color and as a booker, been in the game for 24 years. I've seen it all.
Yes.
And I just think in regards to I don't like to say real celebrities, but the celebrities with credits who actually have 10, 15, 20 years of work, who went to school and studied, who did those hard works, who really grind. Just now in our climates, a lot of them are forgotten about.
Yeah.
And they can't get tickets to, certain award shows or certain projects, but you see, some social media influencers who may had a viral, video, and they're on the red carpet. And again, we're not knocking them, but I just don't forget those who came before social media, who really have the credits and who deserves the respect and honor. And as I mentioned before, who's going to tell Diana Ross she's not relevant? That's Dino. That's Icon. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I remember working on projects when someone told me Toni Braxton was irrelevant. Excuse me, Toni Braxton.
Right.
We need to bring out her long history of, records and awards. But again, it's more about education. And that's me as a booker. That's what I find myself doing more now. That's what I really love, to really mentor the next generation of bookers who are coming in. It's fine. Social media, we're embracing it. They're here. They're not going anywhere. But you also can't forget about the celebrities who were here before social media, because they deserve to be on projects, brand deals as well. Their fan base is not gone. Their fan base is there. Look at New Edition. They're in, I mean, New Edition is still popping. They just expanded their residency in Vegas. It's New Edition.
Yeah.
It's certain things, like it's like we will all be blessed to age and be relevant. It doesn't matter how many followers. It's like, even if you do have quadrillion followers, what are you doing with that? Are you doing that to be famous? Are you using it for the good of the world? Who are you helping? Who are you uplifting? That's my thing that I challenge the new generation of influencers in social media. Use your platform for good. And there are some great social media influencers. I've worked on many campaigns, corporate brand campaigns, and I've met, some amazing influencers, people who are really doing their thing. So I just feel like it's a space for everything. My superpower is to make sure that we have the celebrities prior to social media that are still relevant and get opportunities as well, that they're not forgotten about. So I'm not, we have a lot of amazing bookers who
Yeah.
I partner with, strategic partnerships. It's a space for everybody. But again, I want the respect to always be there no matter what. 50 is not old. I hear that a lot, like, oh, they're so old, or we got to get away from that.
Yeah.
Let's embrace, let's respect each other's roles and where we are in our career. But you wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for those celebrities who opened up those doors. It's much easier now to become a celebrity. But to me, it's like, what are you doing with that? What's the real reason you want to be famous? And that's what I challenge those who are stuck on that.
I think that's powerful. And I think, like I say this often, and I live in this space and I believe this space, we all have a measure of influence. So whether we're a celebrity, whether we need a talent booker or whatever, we all have a level of influence. So what do we do with it? And how are you using it to impact your sphere of the world and your sphere of influence? So I think that is a powerful statement. I think the intentionality, because I feel like the world is at a major pivot right now. Everything that can be shaking is being shaken. So
Everything.
yeah, and I definitely think it's time for you and whoever, me, whoever, to really work on your professional development, why this shifting is happening, because opportunity is going to come by before the end of the year. And we don't want to look, we want to stay ready so we don't have to get ready. So
That's right.
getting with those mentors, getting with the people that have paved the way before you. Because the thing about it that I absolutely love is having people like you in my life. You help me avoid pitfalls. I can call you and be like, Queenie, this client is not doing this, that, or another. And you're like, Allison, A, B, C, D next. So I'm not wasting time, because time is money. And so having those people that have come before you, that understand, that have that level of knowledge, I think you honor yourself and those, if you're willing to maintain the posture of a student in life. If I feel like I've arrived and I've reached out and I've achieved everything, I wouldn't be here. So I definitely think staying at a posture of just being humble and be curious and learn from those that have come before you, but also respect their legacy. I often do feel like we kind of shut out the legacies on both
Yeah.
sides of generations, but we've got to become more intergenerational, where we can build those bridges and really understand the importance of coming together to amplify and work for a greater good.
And that's my to me, that's my purpose right now. Before I retire out of this industry, like, I embrace everyone. I don't care how old you are. I'm not connected because you're this or that. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I can teach you, I'm a student too. I want to learn. Like I didn't know a lot about certain, social media influencers, and I have people on my team like, hey, you need to check this person out. Like I'm not knocking anybody.
Right.
Just like no one should be knocking anybody who's a celebrity,
Right.
who's doing the work, who has done the work, who has opened doors. That's like me. I will always speak about my boss slash mentor, Yolanda Starks,
Yep.
because I wouldn't be here speaking to you if it wasn't for her. If it wasn't, take it back, if it wasn't for Reuben Cannon, I wouldn't even met Yolanda. So it's like we have to always give people their flowers and acknowledgement, no matter what. That was 24 years ago.
Yep.
But what they taught me, I still do it today in business. I'm always learning. I'm always growing. I don't know everything. I'm right now with everything shifting in Hollywood. I'm shifting with it. We have to shift.
Yes.
We have to make pivots. We have to get creative. We got to start thinking outside the box, and that's what I'm doing now. I can't book talent like I did 10 years ago because it doesn't work. I have to stay relevant of what's going on. I have to pay attention to technology. I have to pay attention to everything. I watch a lot of TV. I just always have to be in the know, because as a booker, you always want to know, because when you get an opportunity, sometimes that's why I love not just being a booker, but now I'm doing more consulting as well. I'm coming in, I'm brainstorming. Some people are like, man, I didn't even think about that person.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of having an experienced and seasoned talent person on your team, because we give you ideas. We think outside the box, and it end up being a home run. But it's just, again, it's more collaborative. It's not because I'm a talent booker and you bring me in on a project and I know everything. No, it's a collaborative thing. And the key thing as a booker, you always want to hire someone who is collaborative, who always want to make sure that they're not just working on the celebrity side, they're working on all sides to make sure that everyone is happy at the end of the day. And I think that me being in this business so long, I care about my clients. I care about the celebrities. I care about the managers and publicists who, because without them, I wouldn't be able to book and secure them without those relationships. And a lot of times people, because of social media, they were like, oh, well, I'm going to DM them and I'm going to go around their manager. Like a real booker, you want to respect the people in position, because at the end of the day, that's the talent's rep, and you always want to be respectful. And that's just, it's all about integrity for me, and just being a team player. I'm not going to disrespect someone, even if I have personal relationships with that. I do have a lot of personal relationships. When it comes to business, I still follow the professional protocol.
Okay.
And that's what I encourage people to do.
So as we come to an end, talk to us about what you're doing now, because you're doing some powerful things. And I'm excited.
Yes, well, thank you so much. Well, I have joined ventures with a wonderful good friend and business associate, Anjanita Prevost. We're going to be doing a women's retreat at the Pentry Hotel this September 17th, 18th, and 19th. It's a 3-day retreat. It's invite only. We have a few slots available. So we wanted to curate this retreat for women CEOs, entrepreneurs who we're going to be having some people on a panel talk about beauty. We're talking about how to get funding for your different ventures, business ventures. We also have a wellness component. We're also going to have an A-list celebrity do a fireside chat. Yeah. So we're super excited about that. And we just it's going to be intimate and small, and we want everyone to bring value and receive value for this retreat that's coming up. And I also have some other TV projects that are in the making as well. And I can definitely talk to you about that on the next one.
Yay! I'm excited for you. I think you're so amazing. So I'm excited to see your pivoting. I'm excited to see your transitioning. So Queenie, As we think about your 24 years in the industry, on They Say, my me creating They Say was really to speak to people and individuals that are empowered, that have overcome challenges, and just encourage us to keep going. So, what would you say your They Say moment was?
I think my they say moment was when people were discouraging me to go and do something different. Especially with all the dips and turns and pivots and things in Hollywood. I just felt God put me here for a reason, even though this wasn't my purpose.
Yeah.
I understood. I found my purpose through all the ups and downs, and I made it. This industry, this craziness, I made it my own. I wanted to always remain true to myself. And I made it work for me. And I think that's what sustained me the 24 years. So that they say is, hey, it's not about what they say. To me, it's what God says. And
Amen.
that's why I'm here.
Amen. And I love it. And this is her real life. So I've known her for a couple of years. She's definitely someone I have admired publicly and privately, and definitely give her flowers. We need more Queenies in the world who make impact, intentional impact, and are willing to give back. And I believe that's why she's blessed. That's why people continue to do business with her. That's why she's 24 years in the entertainment industry without scandal. So we just tip our hats off to her, and we just thank you for continuing to open doors and just being who you are.
Thank you so much. I received that, and I'm very humble and grateful and good. I'm beautifully flawed. I make mistakes, but I learn and I grow. And if I can really help others avoid a lot of the mistakes that I've made in the past, that I think that's my mission. And I love connecting with people. I love networking. I love seeing people win, and that's what I really want. You know, all of us who are entrepreneurs, like, don't give up, just keep going even when it doesn't even look like anything's happening. Just that's why strategic partnerships is key, and just talking and having platforms like this. So thank you, Allison, for giving me the platform to share and to be seen and heard. So I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Thank you.
No problem. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this episode of They Say. I am honored that she said yes. And again, I am Allison McFarland, founder and CEO of Allison McFarland Inc., your personal branding expert. And I will be back next week with another dynamic episode and another dynamic guest. But until then, have a great week. And thank you again, Queenie.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thank you.